3D Mario games are easily some of the most creative and fun video games ever made. From Super Mario 64 on the N64 to Super Mario Odyssey on the Switch, each new entry in the series has consistently offered a weird but amazingly well-crafted experience to players. And in 2021, the world would see the launch of one of the weirdest 3D Mario games ever. A 3D Mario game so different and weird from the others that some don't even consider it to be a mainline entry in the series. That 3D Mario game is none other than the very appropriately titled Bowser's Fury. Released worldwide on February 12, 2021, Bowser's Fury is technically the 7th mainline 3D Mario game, but also not really. As you probably know, Bowser's Fury is a side mode inside of the Switch port of Super Mario 3D World. So it's not really its own thing, but I mean with the amount of content here, it's really hard to pass it off as just some simple extra mode. Bowser's Fury is easily the most expansive and well-crafted side mode we have ever gotten in a Wii U to Switch port. Where most Wii U ports just add a new character or some new levels to try to entice previous Wii U owners to buy the games again, 3D World adds an entire separate sub-game inside of it that has fostered a huge speedrunning community dedicated to pushing the game to its absolute limits. It's incredible. Getting into the game itself though, Bowser's Fury opens up with a very similar opening to that of 3D World. But instead of finding a clear pipe and traveling to the Sprixie Kingdom, Mario instead finds a trail of goop that leads him to what seems to be Shadow Mario's signature M graffiti from Super Mario Sunshine drawn on the ground. While inspecting this graffiti, Mario is consumed by it and transported to a mysterious new land, where he crash lands in the center of a giant footprint. After getting Mario's head out of the dirt, the game gives the player some time to get familiar with the controls and make their way over to what appears to be Bowser's airship that's crash landed into the ground. Upon getting onto the airship, a giant Bowser wakes up and just starts going crazy, shooting fireballs into the air and causing these giant pillars to fall out of the sky. After avoiding Bowser's mayhem and collecting the first of this game's signature collectible, the cat shine, Bowser flees away and the sky clears, revealing a giant lake that's been mostly polluted by black sludge. From the water that isn't polluted though, a giant landmass erects from the water. On this new landmass, Mario meets up with Bowser Jr., who begs for his help, telling Mario that one day Bowser randomly just got all big and mad and that he can't change him back on his own. Upon hearing Jr.'s little sob story, Mario reluctantly agrees to help Jr., and the two team up to try and save Bowser. This opening is honestly pretty good. It's not anything special, I mean there's obviously been much better 3D Mario openings, but I really liked the subtle little sunshine reference with the Shadow Mario M graffiti on the ground. And I absolutely loved how the lightning strike here illuminates Fury Bowser's silhouette before he wakes up and starts wreaking havoc. The coolest part of this game's opening though, has to be the introduction of Bowser Jr. as Mario's companion character. It's awesome to see him finally have a mainstay role in a 3D Mario game for the first time since Galaxy 2, and it's even more awesome that he's actually fully playable here. By connecting a second controller, a second player can take control of Bowser Jr. and help Mario out along his journey. Bowser Jr. can ascend and descend in the air with his clown car, hit and defeat enemies with his Super Mario Sunshine inspired paintbrush, and even reveal hidden power-ups on the wall by drawing graffiti. Apart from the game that Bowser's Fury is a side mode of, 3D World, the two-player here is easily one of the best two-player experiences in a 3D Mario game. I never really liked the co-star thing in the Galaxy games for multiplayer, as it was just kind of boring. And while I liked Odyssey's multiplayer with Cappy, as it let you be much more in control than with the co-star, controlling Bowser Jr. here is just so much more fun. He actually feels like a fleshed out second player who can actually be useful. Speaking of controls though, the way Mario controls in this game is actually quite interesting. You see, since Bowser's Fury is built off of 3D World's engine and is just essentially an extension of 3D World in a lot of ways, Mario actually controls exactly the same as he did in that game here. Gone is the crazy amount of depth and preciseness Mario had with his moveset in Odyssey, and returning now is Mario's much more simple moveset he had for 3D World. You don't have the double jump and triple jump anymore, and the moves you do still have like the side flip, dive, and long jump don't reach as far as they usually do, and are more there as sort of a visual flair to make Mario's moveset seem more fluid than it actually is. Now, while this sounds awful and makes it seem like Mario's movement here is the most limited it has ever been, there's a reason for this. The power-ups. Spread all throughout just about every area you explore in this game are a variety of different power-ups that enhance Mario's moveset and make controlling him much more fun. In Bowser's Fury, you got power-ups like the Cat Bell, Boomerang Flower, Fire Flower, and Tanuki Leaf, which all are obviously returning from 3D World. And while every single power-up here is useful in their own right, the Boomerang Flower is good for nabbing close-by collectibles, the Fire Flower is great for defeating a gang of enemies from far away, and the Tanuki Leaf is great for crossing a large gap. The power-up you'll get the most use out of here is the Cat Bell. The Cat Bell allows Mario to climb up walls, scratch at enemies to defeat them, and dive out of a jump. Cat Mario is so much fun to move around with because of all the abilities it has. Climbing up walls makes high up places much easier to reach. Being able to perform a simple scratch to defeat most enemies makes blasting through a certain area much easier. And being able to dive out of a jump is just as useful and fun to perform as the dive move is in other 3D Mario games like 64, Sunshine, and Odyssey. The catsuit also has minor things about it that make platforming with it feel very smooth and responsive. You got the mid-air scratch you can do that serves as a great mid-air correction tool if you need to hold your place in the air or quickly change your direction. You can chain cat dives together to make traversing long stretches of land easier. And most importantly, Mario meows. Overall, the movement in Bowser's Fury is great. The diverse selection of power-ups here that you can select from at any time makes it so the player is always prepared for just about any situation, and makes traversing this game's world an absolute blast. Speaking of this game's world though, I think it's important to note that Bowser's Fury is an entirely open world game, a first for the Mario series. Every single 3D Mario game to ever release, even counting the handheld ones like 64DS and 3D Land, has always had a hub world or hub ship in Odyssey's case, that Mario has used to travel to different locations or levels. In Bowser's Fury, however, everything is all contained within one giant map, meaning that if you want to go to a certain location, you can just go there, instead of having to return to a hub world and select a level and sit through a loading screen. Personally, I love this. I think Bowser's Fury is designed really well around its open world, and it doesn't feel at all forced or anything. I love just how seamless the transition to different levels are, with the music kicking in right as you enter the area of a stage, and fading out as you get farther away from it. There's a lot of charm to just continuously being able to play a game without being interrupted or stopped by having to sit and watch a loading screen. The absolute best part of Bowser's Fury's open world though, is how the levels literally change right in front of your eyes. You see, since you obviously aren't booted out of an area when you collect a cat shen or anything, the way Bowser's Fury adds to a level or introduces a new mission is by changing the level right in front of your eyes in real time. Take Claw Swipe Coliseum for example. When you first visit this place, it's a pretty small coliseum that doesn't really have much to offer in terms of size. But after completing the first mission of the area, running away from it a bit and looking back at it, you'll see a new level of the coliseum literally emerge from the ground right in front of your eyes. It's so cool. Having levels change in real time like this just makes the entire experience seamless. It feels like such an amazing compromise between Mario 64 and Sunshine's ideas of having levels change over time, but requiring you to leave that level, and Odyssey's idea of having levels not change over time, but never booting you out. The idea is so cleverly executed here, and I really hope it's what we see going forward in future 3D Mario games. Moving on though, I wanted to talk about something I noticed a lot when playing this game back for this video. And that's how this game reuses, but also remixes a lot of ideas and aspects from 3D World. Obviously it's not a surprise at all that the game would do this, but I absolutely love the way it does this. For example, in 3D World there were sometimes enemies on the world map that would block your path that you're rewarded with a green star for defeating. These enemy fights would take place in a small arena-like area that you couldn't get out of, and offered a pretty cool way to get green stars. And in Bowser's Fury, spread throughout the map there are a few purple buttons placed in random locations. Upon hitting one of these buttons and activating it, a bunch of enemies will appear, and Mario will be trapped in a small arena-like area that he can't get out of until he either dies or defeats all the enemies. If you do manage to defeat all these enemies though, you're rewarded with a cat shine similar to how you're rewarded with a green star in 3D World. I absolutely love this. It's such a cool way to translate one of 3D World's ideas into an open world environment, and certainly not the only example of this. As I briefly mentioned earlier, each level in Bowser's Fury has a set of missions to complete. But what I didn't mention is that a ton of missions, and sometimes even just levels in general here, actually take direct inspiration from concepts seen in 3D Worlds levels. Take for instance the mission Feasting on Fuzzies on Risky Whisker Isle. This mission sees the player making use of a piranha plant that they can hold to eat up some fuzzies. After eating up all the fuzzies, the player is awarded with a cat shine. This concept of eating up fuzzies with the piranha plant is directly taken from the level Shadow Play Alley in 3D World, where the player, over the course of the entire level, uses a piranha plant to clear the path of fuzzies. And it's not like the game is just straight up stealing these ideas, it's adding something to those ideas and building off of them. Just look at the mission atop Mount Meow in another level. This mission has the player scaling up a mountain using switchboards. And while on these switchboards, the player has to avoid these enemies called fuzzlers, and hit switches that change the direction of the switchboard's track. And while this concept is derived from the level Switchboard Falls in 3D World, where the player does exactly that, in Bowser's Fury, the idea is used in a completely new way. It's used as a means of making scaling this giant mountain even more challenging than it already was, which is just so cool. The last example I wanted to mention of this idea of remixing and translating 3D World's concepts can actually be seen in an entire level of Bowser's Fury. That level is Pipe Path Tower. Pipe Path Tower is all about clear pipes. Throughout almost every mission here, you're trying to choose the correct clear pipe path to make your way to the top. And in one, you're trying to clear the pipes of these dangerous spikes. This whole clear pipe gimmick obviously comes from them being a major part of 3D World, but the way they utilized here is specifically derived from 3D World's clear pipe cruise, which is all about, you guessed it, taking the correct clear pipe path and clearing them of spikes. Overall, Bowser's Fury does an incredible job at taking ideas from 3D World, remixing them, and translating them into an open world environment to make them feel fresh. I will always appreciate just how much Bowser's Fury pays homage to 3D World with its level design. With pretty much every single other aspect of this game out of the way, I think it's time we talk about the big man himself, Bowser. Throughout almost every single second you play this game, looming in the background at the very center of the map lies Fury Bowser. As time passes, you'll start to notice that Fury Bowser becomes less of a giant blob sticking out of the ground, and more of a huge giant shell that's ascending into the air. After enough time has passed, Bowser's shell will turn orange and it will start raining everywhere on the map, regardless of where you are. And very soon after that, the sky will turn to a hellish orange color and Fury Bowser will start roaming free. When Fury Bowser comes out, the entire tone of the game completely changes. You go from listening to happy Mario music and jumping around with the beautiful blue sky in the background, to listening to heavy metal while running for your life while one of the scariest, but easily the coolest renditions of Bowser chases you around, breathing fire, causing pillars to fall from the sky, and just causing absolute mayhem. I absolutely love how Fury Bowser happens in real time. It's just like 1 minute everything's quiet and peaceful, the next, hell. The only real issue I have with Fury Bowser sequences, and really the only issue I have with the game in general, is that sometimes Fury Bowser can happen when you absolutely don't want it to happen. I get it's a part of the game, but it feels a little excessive at times, especially in the post-game when you're just trying to collect the rest of the shines. Moving on though, without a doubt the best part about Fury Bowser in this game are the fights with him. As you progress through the game, your goal is to collect enough cat shines to unlock the current area you're in's Gigabell. After collecting enough cat shines to unlock a Gigabell, the next time Fury Bowser comes out to wreak havoc, the Gigabell will awaken and Mario will be able to collect it, turning him into Giga Cat Mario. These fights with Fury Bowser are just incredible. It feels so good to grow to his size and be able to stand up to him and see the map from his perspective. And while the first fight with him is relatively simple, with each new fight, Fury Bowser starts using more and more moves and actually becomes pretty difficult to defeat at times. The last fight with him though, is easily the best of the ones in the main story. It starts off exactly the same as all the rest, just with Bowser having more health than usual. But after you defeat him, he comes back freed of the black sludge that once took over him, and now is just this giant version of regular Bowser with bright white eyes that is trying to steal the 3 Gigabells. During this final sequence, you chase Bowser aboard Plessy, dodging his attacks, and ramming the stolen Gigabells into him to try to break open the crystal containing them. And after evading his attacks for long enough, You're finally able to ram the Crystal of Gigabells into Bowser for the final time, defeating him and bringing an end to one of the coolest final sequences in a Mario game. Bowser's Fury is a weird Mario game. It's an incredibly short experience, clocking in at around 3 hours to complete the main story, and about 6 hours if you go for all 100 cat shines spread around the map. Despite being so short though, Bowser's Fury honestly feels like an almost fully fleshed out Mario game. The only thing missing here is a longer runtime. The game perfectly builds off 3D World's engine, and even in some cases 3D World's ideas, and brings them into a fully open world environment that is just an absolute joy to explore. The power-ups work so well here, and being able to switch between them with the simple press of a button makes it so you're equipped for just about every situation. The level design here is amazing. It's up to the incredible standards we're used to in a 3D Mario game. The Bowser fights here, and just Fury Bowser in general, is such a far cry from what we usually expect from Bowser fights and representation, and I absolutely love that. When this game got announced, I wasn't really all too excited. I thought it would just be a simple side mode that I'd forget about a week after playing. But because of the amount of love, creativity, and passion present in this short experience, I was instantly in love with it. I really hope Nintendo uses this game as a blueprint for future Mario projects. I would love to see what would come out of this already amazing experience if it was given the amount of development time that a full 3D Mario game gets. Bowser's Fury is proof that the future of 3D Mario is brighter than ever, and I just hope that that future keeps getting brighter.